First one.
Yeah, well, interactive email. You just saw a nice presentation from somebody else, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about interactive email. Like that dude, follow him on Facebook, and I'm going to in this panel discussion, I'm going to chop up the various stages of how do you create an email, and what kind of pitfalls, cool experience we had. And yeah, we're going to have this with an amazing panel, so I let them introduce themselves, and let them do the talking, I guess. But I'm going to address the topics about the interactive emails, and they were going to share their experiences. So, Emily.
So hi everyone, I spoke on the first day, if you can remember when that was. I like how I'm starting it and finishing it. I think it's quite cruel, actually. My name's Emily Booth, and I'm a Strategic Account Director at Movable Inc. Movable Inc. is the leading platform in visual experiences. As I mentioned in my presentation on, what day was it? Tuesday. We're focused on email and then also the omni-channel channels as well. So web, ad display, and push notifications.
This one next to you.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, Dave Holland. Am I on? Yeah. Founded Liveclicker in EMEA and APAC 6 years ago from scratch. We now have huge teams around the world working with some of our favourite brands as well. Pretty much, she might disagree with me, but pretty much doing the same thing as Movable Inc. We kind of do it differently, and we do some other things as well, and vice versa.
I look forward to talking about that, Dave.
We're going to have a cage match later on in between them. So.
I am Coen van de Ven. I work at nohassle.com, selling trumpets. Selling trumpets. And I work at BSH, at Bosch Siemens, selling white good. And interactive emails, we're doing it a little bit, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it.
Well, first of all, if you want to have an interactive email, it's not there in 2 seconds. You have to convince stakeholders or clients. That sometimes can be hard. Do you have any experience on, can you elaborate a little bit more on how you can convince your stakeholders to use interactive email and not keep it with the same? Because it's easy to follow, but you can lead if you're going to start with interactive email. So do you have any examples on how?
I think when it comes to stakeholders, in the most part, they're interested in the bottom line. And Forrester did a report on Movable Inc. in October of last year and found that on average, people saw 373% increase in ROI. I think those kind of numbers really do speak for themselves. And I think that can be a really great way to start those conversations. Yeah. But in all honesty, when we first start speaking to customers and clients, they have a particular pain point that they need to fix. I think a common theme in the last couple of days has been a lot of people in this room have got small email marketing teams. There might be just a couple of people. So sometimes it's not just about the bottom line, it's also about the efficiencies that are created. So again, we have on average of 40% decrease in production time. So I think having those sort of numbers can really help when it gets to starting those conversations with the stakeholders, because really they speak for themselves, like the presentation earlier about the data speaks for itself. Show them the big box, and then they have to use it. So you heard the numbers. Start with interactive email, everybody, and if you don't know how, call us. So maybe Coen, you have some examples also.
Yeah, I think it's also important to to explain to stakeholders what the customer would have with the interactive email. So what's their benefit with it? So if it's kind of a soft landing for the website, like you can interactively fill your profile or interactively do something which you could normally do on your website, but now it's kind of a soft landing. I think stakeholders would get that, and I think that's important. What's the benefit for the customer in it? And if it's conversion, that's fine. I think that's they really want to hear that. But yeah, it can be everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. after you got everybody convinced we're going to do an interactive email, then you have to decide on what you're going to do, and then you go to the UX, user experience design. Then you have several problems, I think, because you're not going to present a static image and say, well, this is our interactive email and what we're going to do about it. So how do you present the features of your interactive parts of your email to your database or to your recipients? Do you have any user experience and design issues when trying to create an email?
Difficult to answer that in a generalized way. Mm-hmm. Depends how you're managing and how you're building your emails in the first place. But I think one of the keys is, and it's something that both MobileLink and Liveclicker solves, one of the pain points is not knowing at the moment of send what device or email client that the user is going to be opening on. You do need, if you're going to start playing in this game, and it is fun, by the way, and it does produce results, but if you're going to start playing in this game, then you need code that can identify in real time, each time an email is opened, the device and the email client and the operating system, because the result is going to be partly determined by that. So you said a lot about Outlook, for example. That's a great example. On the positive side, for example, with iPhone, that polling, the one example about the live polling, in iOS you can do all that in the email. You don't have to go to a second landing page. But if you open it in an Android, then it is going to have to go to a landing page and so on. So you do need some code, in my humble opinion, to manage that final user experience,
And also, tend to go more to dynamic prototyping. For instance, I had a client one time, and we were so tunnel visioned in our own way. That was the ABN AMRO example. Well, that's going to be very logical. Everybody's going to see everything, but we tend to forget how people are going to start the journey at the first click. We kind of forgot in the first phase to create the first click, which was going to start the interactive part of the email. So, always get somebody else on board to check if your logic, what you're going to design, is going to work. Because after that, you can spend tons of money on a cool interactive email. But if somebody doesn't get it or can start it, it's a waste of time and money. So. When you have the UX design, the wireframes, etc., all set up, you can start at the cool part, the creation of the email. Everybody has dreams and expectations, but in your point of view, Coen, what's your dream email going to be for Bosch? On the interactive part.
Dream big. Dream big.
Yeah. I want to dream big. Yeah. So I think two possible options. One would be, so if it's onboarding from a new customer or a potential customer, and they make an account for Bosch or for Siemens, that the onboarding already takes place in the email for a bit. So we ask just one question, which start off in the email, so that people have they start in the email and they think, oh, okay, I know this question, or I want to answer it. They answer it and they go to the rest of the page. And the other one could be, so people are buying a new kitchen at our company, so that they can, how do you say it, compile? Not sure. Yeah. Compile their own kitchen already in the email for a bit, so that they can say, I need an oven, I need a fridge, I need this, and they can interactively choose a few products, and they combine it, and then they go to a landing page where their kitchen is presented, something like that. So so it's already, you can make some choices already in the email, and then you go to a landing page, and the rest is there. I think that would be useful.
Okay. Yeah, well, a complete dynamic kitchen configurator. So which one of you can
Exactly.
create that for him? So.
Well, this is actually just what I was about to say, because
Call me.
I think a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about so far has been what I'd call more tactical personalization. You know, no one's going to buy software for a countdown timer. Please don't do that, guys. You can actually do it for free online. It's more about actually what is the true business need for the customer. And actually what's quite nice is the last two examples you showed were actually Movable Link customers, Home Depot and Ticketmaster. When I think about some of the clients that I look after and some of the emails that they are producing, it goes so much deeper than just that tactical personalization. So for example, I look after a company called DAZN, spelled D-A-Z-N. They're one of the largest media streaming online services for sports. So all of your on-demand sports, you can then, it's completely tailored to you as an individual. They don't actually have a website, it's all on app. For their emails, their core need was the fact that they were only in 5 markets, they needed to get to 20. We started working with them in March of 2017, and we have now completely automated one of their key programs. So, for example, we know exactly what sports that someone's interested in, and then through their data, they want to say, okay, well, if somebody likes soccer, then we're also going to promote X, Y, and Z sports, which we know from the data that are also popular. Now, this campaign is called a personalised rail because it's completely automated and personalised on a one-to-one level. We've helped them now expand into 17 markets. For me, that is like the dream. Another example might be something like House of Fraser. So one of their really, really core issues online was the fact that their product feeds were not connected into their email. So they might be sending out an email and none of the products are in stock. Because of the work that we can do with their APIs, we're now connected into their product feed, so we can ensure that every single email that goes out, the actual item is available, saying that we can put in any live pricing. It's some of those, I think it's finding what the actual core business problems are to then helping solve. Someone, it was Hessel who said how they don't send emails on a Friday because it's too stressful. So it reminded me of our customer Shop Direct, who are a very large retailer in the UK, and they had an email that went out on a Friday, and someone in the team was always in the office until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, because their prices changed at about 10 p.m. Because we were able to automate that for them and connect with their APIs.
Somebody got their weekend back, so.
Someone got their weekend back, and that makes such a key difference. So I think it's important when we're thinking about what the dream email is, don't think about throwing in a countdown timer. It's about, for you as a business, what's going to really make an impact, because that's when you really see the results.
It doesn't have to be a trick you're going to do because we're going to be interactive. It's all about being more relevant for your customers, and interactivity can help great in that. After creating the beautiful email, somebody has to push on send, and also testing. All the scenarios if you're going to do interactive, or for instance have an OS, a picture or a link to your app store or something, which is dynamically shown. What was my point? Sorry. The issues of testing. Dave, do you have any examples on how can you test better so you don't have someone that calls you? Well, I got an email from you, and there should be a name on it, and it should be personalized or interactive, but it doesn't. So how do you think you can improve the testing process?
So the question is, what should I do to make sure that I'm testing thoroughly enough that nobody gets a bad result? Email on acid is my answer.
Well, that's quick. But there's also a little problem with email on acid and litmus or something with interactive elements sometimes, because you see how it's working on all the different devices. But it's always going to show a static preview of your inbox.
Okay, so the second answer is, if you are using the Liveclicker platform, we have that testing built in, so we actually can show in real time the interactive result, not just the snapshot static image result. And that's actually built in. But email and acid is a good place to start, and then a test list. in-house test list, as big as you can get it, as many different email clients, as many different devices. Just keep sending to yourselves until you're happy if you're not using one of our platforms. Yeah.
Can I jump in there?
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting into my stride now. I'm a bit more awake. Testing is so important. But who thinks they currently do enough testing? Not one hand went up. That's either you're all just half asleep because it's very warm in here. Yeah. We hear that all the time. A/B testing is tedious, it's dull, people don't have time because you're trying to do strategy, you're trying to get stuff out of the door. So being able to actually automate the testing process, it was actually mentioned, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago, about how you can actually automate testing. So within Movable Ink, you can test as many different creative variations as you like. Personally, I've never seen anyone do more than 3 because people have lives to lead, but you can test as many as you like. So you can test every single part of the Movable Ink platform. And then you can set the criteria within the platform what you would consider to be a winning metric. So commonly it's click-through rate, sometimes it's conversion rate. The test will run in the background, and then as soon as that winning metric is hit, all of the losing content will automatically be dropped, so that your audience is always going to only see the winning content. But it's not just about testing, Movable Ink content against each other. It's about testing, having something like Movable Ink and not having anything. Because also, you need to test whether your vendor, if it's someone like Movable Ink, is working for you and they're making a result. So being able to have those tangible testing options is really important. And being able to just automate it, I think that's really critical.
Indeed. When we were talking about testing, always, reporting. The one thing I heard a lot from clients is, we send out an interactive email, but I don't see a spike in clicks, or how can I manage the success of my interactive email? Because everybody's still in the email. You're not exiting your email. I think so. The standard metrics, opens, clicks, the clicks are going to be low in an interactive email. So I tend to look more at the total open percentage. So you can see a huge. I did an A/B test on a static version and interactive version. Both results were kind of the same, but the total open percentage of the interactive email was 3 times as high. So in that case, you see that the interactive email is more, has more interactions and more open. So, how do you have some challenges on reporting, or maybe success stories you want to share about interactive elements in email?
I think with the interactive email, you have a goal, which is conversion, for example, or a question, a poll, it doesn't matter, or a game. And that has that takes place somewhere else. So the conversion will be your KPI or your measurement. So what happens in the email is fine, but what happens afterwards, if you measure that will be most important. So if you measure that can be your leading KPI. Okay.
We're talking about sending, reporting, and testing. And the future. We have 2 great tech parties about here next to me. So, what is the future going to bring us on interactive email from both of your platforms?
More and better. I love it when brands are constantly striving to get their openers to do something, because isn't that really what this is all about? It's not just being engaging, it's actually getting them motivated to do something. And I think anything that can come forward in the interactive space, we have 2 guys, that's all they do all day, is just come up with amazing ideas, talk to clients, and try and invent the next thing. There's a lot more to come. And I actually think it's not really an option anymore. I think it is a necessity. I think you've got to compare yourself to your competitive brands. So if your competitors are out there doing really interactive stuff, you can pretty well guess they're probably getting better results in terms of sales and KPIs that are probably similar to yours. So I think it's a case of staying ahead of the competition. It's a necessity anyway.
I think the future's kind of already here. I think, like you said, it's no longer a nice to have. It is a requirement. I think what is particularly exciting is how our clients are actually driving the change and driving the conversation. So to give you an example, when we launched in web in October of last year, that came about because our customers had taken our code from the email and they'd put it onto their website to see if they could work it. That then led to 2 years of development to be able to then now do what we do in email in web as well. I think that customer centricity has to be at the core to everything. Competition is rife. We know how in the UK, for example, high streets are struggling. People do need to completely stay ahead. But I think as we look to the future, I think, you know, we've had the omni-channel panel already, so I'm not going to go too far down there, but I think making sure that everybody is working together and being able to have one central platform where you can create your visual experiences is long overdue. And very exciting to be a part of that.
Oh, cool. Now we started with the simple text. I started with the simple text email, and now we're talking about cool interactive emails. That's were my questions to you. Does anybody else have some questions about it?
You guys talked about opening rate. How interactive email can help and increase opening rates, short term and long term?
Really simple one. One of our clients just put, there's an amazing game inside this email, and it got an amazing open rate, and it was that simple. But if it's incremental. What we've discovered is that clients who use more and more interactive, the openers get used to it, and so their anticipation is there. The moment they see you in the inbox, they're more likely to open if they've opened before and seen that. And the other thing is they'll refer it. You'll get double the referrals, so people forward them on, hey, there's this really cool game in this email, you've got to check this out, stuff like that. So.
I think every single industry and every single client I work with is completely different. I think a really nice example is the work we do in the gaming industry. So we work with nearly every gaming customer in the UK, and we have effectively created a new revenue channel by the fact that we can put in live odds into an email, for example. So that is just a core example of where we've effectively created a new revenue channel. Then there's people like Screwfix. So Screwfix in the UK are a large DIY retailer. They have a really, really great campaign, which is a really nice education piece. And they have an option that you can vote on a deal of the day. So every day a live poll comes out and there's 4 products that you can purchase. It might be a drill, it might be a hammer, it might be a ladder, whatever it might be. And then the customers get to vote. As soon as you vote, you see the percentage that goes up in the email, and then you are encouraged to go back and reopen that email at the end of the day to see which item is going to be the deal of the day, the next day. So that's a retail example, a gaming example. Also airlines, so a massive use case in the travel industry is being able to make sure that things like flight prices and holiday availability is accurate. So if you know that by always clicking on Jet2, for example, as one of my customers, you know that we're pulling in the live pricing. So you're always actually going to get that optimum experience. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, hi, Radu, Dragon Games. I want to go even further regarding this open race because I'm also curious. How do you measure? I guess you do a split test to see old email and interactive email. Yeah, right? An A/B test. So you have the same subject lines, because basically you compare the content of the the content of the email and not the subject line.
Yeah, so we're about the content of the platform, not the subject lines. You're talking about A/B testing, which makes me a bit nervous because I'm talking about live optimization, which is where you don't have the stress of have to do the whole A/B testing. So if you are testing, say, non-movable link content versus movable link content, then you can see what makes it impact. You know, something that works for one client won't work for another. It's why we'll always encourage you to have multiple pieces of movable link content in one email. There's no cost association with how many impressions that you have within one email. We also have a full client experience team, so every single account works with, it might be myself and then 2 other people, so you have a team of 3. And they are responsible for your success and responsible for things like testing. And, you know, because they might work with Amex, they'll be able to say, well, this has worked with Amex, so let's try it for you. So bringing that experience in, but just testing. But because it's automated, it doesn't have quite the same headaches as doing multiple A/B tests can bring, and then ultimately not happen.
I can fill in a little bit extra, but if you have the old school A/B test, you're going to see the same level of unique opens, I guess, because the subject line is the same, or if it's not, the target groups aren't split okay. But if you want to see the real success, then you have to look at the total open rate, and you're going to see in the interactive version a lot more people opening it again and again and again and again and again. So. Don't always look at the unique rates, also at the total rate. So without a way to monitor and measure all the impressions of the interactive elements in your email, look at those total data to see if it's bigger than more than in the static version. So you can see the bigger success of your email.
Thank you guys very much. So for those who have more